Just F It. Hi, I'm Romy, an identity coach helping others who struggle with their sexual identity and families of queer youth find their path of understanding and acceptance.
And I'm Carla, a mom empowerment coach empowering moms to own their new identities and motherhood journeys.
And together we are the EFF IT Madres. We are here to invite you guys into stories of some inspiring madres
who have changed their lives through an F It moment. So here we go. Just F It.
Happy Monday, everyone.
Happy Monday.
We're together.
We're together. So if you happen to be watching this, Romy and I are squished on a green chair sharing one mic.
We just did a photo shoot and we were squished together for the photo shoot because we are showing our new swag, our hoodies that we have on, our hats, our mugs. We're used to being very close.
Yes.
Very, very close. So we are here together in LA.
Yes.
I probably should have brushed my teeth before.
That's why I brushed my teeth.
I was like, before I'm in your face like this, Jesus.
It's all right. It's all right.
Anyways, who are we, Carla?
We are the F It Madres. I'm Carla. This is Romy. Two best friends, two girl moms, and two Latinas. And we both said F it and started this podcast. And what's this podcast about?
Well, let me grab my mic. This podcast is our time that we spend with other moms and hearing their F it moments. An F it moment is a mind shift. It's a job change. It's a move. It's anything that you do that is scary as a mom that you say, fuck it, F it. And, you know, it changes your life in some way, whether the F it moment happened, didn't happen, failed, whatever it may be. It's just going with those movements. And they're inspiring. And we get to talk to moms and hear about theirs every Monday.
Yep. And who is it that we have on today?
Bring that mic right on over here. Today we have Angela, and she was a surrogate mom. She just gave birth, I want to say like 3 weeks ago. She is already a mom, and I'm really interested in hearing what happened when she decided to do this, and her emotions and what it's done for her and her family and her as a woman.
Man, that's crazy to have your own kid and then be the surrogate for someone else and not have an attachment. I mean, I wonder, obviously she'll talk about that, but like you kind of have to not have an attachment to that kid. That's got to be really interesting. So we haven't had something like this on the show. Okay. So we're going to bring her in just a second.
Okay, everybody, we are here with Angie, and we thank you so much for joining us and sharing your story. We have not had a story like this on our podcast yet, and we're really excited. So we're just going to jump right in.
Okay, thank you for having me.
Okay, so your first question is, what brought about this mental shift to make you say F it that you're going to share with us today?
I was, it was brought to my attention to become a surrogate. That's what we're going to talk about today, by a good friend of mine. And at first I was really nervous because I have a lot of other things going along, as we all do. And, as I sat and thought about it for a while, I thought this could be a good opportunity financially for me and my family. And, obviously you're giving the gift of life to somebody else as well. So that's kind of like how it started for me, was just talking to a good friend that has done it. She's actually on her second time doing it now. So that was kind of like what led me into it.
And you already have children?
I have one biological daughter, and I have two nephews that I have full custody of since I was 21.
Wow.
And 2 years ago, my stepson moved in with us as well.
Wow. Okay, so this is a really, really big decision.
Yeah, and I have a dog and a grandma who lives with us.
I was going to say, I mean, you have a responsibility that you took on, raising all of this is your family, right? And so you brought up financially. So I think it's important, like we had talked about previous to this, that this was an opportunity brought to you to make some money and do something positive for somebody.
Yeah, it was. Initially I hate to say it like that, but money talks, and it was something that helped out tremendously. I mean, it still is. It even has me considering doing it a second time. However, I'm getting older and there's a deadline for that, but that's a different topic. But yeah, I mean, financially we had a very comfortable 2023 and so far into this year, and there's all sorts of things that come with it that make it bigger than money, but initially that was something that led me to it. Yes.
I think it's really important though to be sharing something like this because
Mhm.
there
Hmm.
are a lot of things that, I mean, as a mom, you have to, support, figure out how to support your family. And if like sometimes these opportunities fall in your lap, and yeah, they're a big
Yeah.
decision to have to make, but like if financially it makes sense,
Yeah. I mean, it's
then
a huge sacrifice, that's for sure.
huge.
Carla and I don't want to put our bodies through that again for our own children. Like we
It
did
would
it
take a lot of
once. Yeah,
money.
it would take a lot of money to put my body through that. So it's a sacrifice.
I just the medication alone that you have to take initially, I feel like you should be paid more. And I don't even want to say that out loud, but it's true. It's
That's
you're
right.
loading yourself with hormones, like my
Yeah,
poor
that's right.
family, they probably think I'm a psychopath at this point. But it's to help you get ready for the transfer date, and there's a lot, it's very scientific, that's for sure. And I knew nothing about this until I started the process. Um, but I am considering even maybe doing it again, which is crazy.
You just gave birth, right? For
I
everyone
did
listening,
on the
how long
ninth,
ago?
on February 9th.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow. So you're like newly okay. So we want to dive into
Yes.
a lot of the
Yes.
other questions, but this isn't part of the questions. I'm just so curious how are you able to disassociate or detach from that? Because that's gotta be an interesting thing to like kind of keep yourself
Um,
separate.
well, so before you are even select and matched up with a family, I'm sorry, matched, you do have to go through some like psychiatric clearance. There's a counselor that you speak with. They just have a bunch of random questions that obviously help them decide if you're mentally capable of something like this. So that's kind of like leads you into it. But you just have to know that it's not your child. And so this was not my egg either. So this was I'm just housing the baby.
Okay.
Sometimes I think that the person that's the surrogate is also the egg donor. That was not my case.
Oh, okay.
So this complete was not my baby biologically at all. You just have to, I don't know, he was just my
Mm.
little buddy.
Did you feel any, since you are a mom who's already had your own child, so you already know that connection?
Hmm.
Did you feel any connection through the process that was, and I'm sorry, these are off questions. We're going to get into our other ones.
No, it's okay. I know a lot of people they've never
Yeah.
talked with anybody about this. So
Yeah.
I don't think I did. No. Now, however, postpartum with no baby is really interesting, and that's this has probably been the hardest part of the whole thing is like not having the baby here to balance your hormones that change when you give birth. And it's not that I want the baby; it's just the baby balances you out
Mm.
naturally, and the baby's not here, so I'm just kind of all wacky. Yeah.
Oh.
On top of just being a woman and a mom, like, yeah, I'm kind of crazy, but that's okay.
Yeah, because your body feels like a mom, right? Like it feels like it gave birth. It's telling you it did this.
Yeah, well, and I'm pumping for the family. So that, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
That'll probably change when I go back to work because I won't have as much time on my hands. But while I've been home for 2 weeks, because it was 2 weeks yesterday, I am pumping as well.
Okay. So I'm going to get into these questions because this is
Okay.
absolutely fascinating. And also, like, good for you for being confident enough to share this and share with other mothers listening that, like, this was a financial opportunity and emotionally things happen along these decisions that we make. And that's what we talk about in these EFF IT moments. You don't know what doors they're going to open. So,
Correct.
what sort of opportunities did open up for you since saying EFF IT and doing this?
Just, getting to know this new family, learning about surrogacy is, I mean, I knew nothing about it. I literally had a conversation with a friend who has done it and is now on her second time. And she was so casual about it. But going through the process of it, I mean, you just learn all these things about this process. And then it like leads you into other things, like I have a cousin who is having fertility issues, and the way she would have a child is the same way I did, and it's just very interesting. And then being able to share pregnancy with my daughter, especially, who is my biological child,
Mm-hmm.
who's 13, was probably my favorite part of the whole,
Oh,
well, besides giving this family a baby,
yeah.
was sharing it with her. She was my support person. So she was in the room with me. She watched
Oh.
epidural. She watched the baby come out. She hopefully is terrified.
For a long time.
Yeah, you're like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna try and frighten you so that you never do
Yeah,
this for a
exactly.
while.
This was my goal. Yes. But sharing myself being pregnant with my kids, and obviously when you're pregnant, your kids don't know what's going on because you're carrying them and they're babies. But it was nice that they got to experience that, if that makes sense.
It
For
does.
sure. But I was going to say, like, how was that conversation initially
Mm-hmm.
explaining that to her?
Well, she still wants a younger sibling. That's not happening. I'm not.
We tell our kids this every day.
Yeah, people thought, oh, well, you're having a baby. No, I'm not having a baby for myself. I'm not taking care of this baby. I'm not responsible for this baby. I don't have to watch this baby their whole life grow up, and then they turn into these teenagers that I have now that are driving me crazy. We're not having any more kids. So she she learned how to disassociate it as well. Like, it's not my baby. But she would put her hand on my belly and feel him move around, and so that was kind of interesting to watch her especially. The boys really don't care. They're into their own things right now.
Okay, I was going to ask, I'm curious because obviously this is a new journey that you had never done before. And whenever we start walking down these paths that we'd never walked before, we learn things about ourselves, positive and negative. So I'm curious to know through this experience, did you learn anything positive and negative about yourself going through this and agreeing to do this?
I mean, I think that, like, this definitely isn't for everybody. And you really do have, yeah, you really do have to learn to not get attached to this baby. And that is probably not that easy for a lot of people. Um, so, I mean, just that factor alone is huge, I think.
There's a level of selflessness that comes to it, right? Like you kind of have to
Absolutely.
just lose that part of you needing and you wanting and connecting, which we've been innate as women and mothers. That's what we're supposed to do. But you've really shut that off to look at it in a way that this is for someone else.
Yeah, you have to, because, I mean, it's a huge legal contract that you sign. There's a lot that goes into it, but I mean, there's no way that you can get attached. Um, Even when I gave birth, they put a blanket on my stomach so that when they put the baby on me, we weren't skin to skin, until the father. It was a single man who I had a baby for, until he came and cut the umbilical cord. So, like, I tried to, like, get a little look at him, like I just wanted to see what the baby looked like. And a lot of times the families, will allow you to hold the baby or not, or they'll share photos with you or not, and it's completely up to them. So I did get one little photo of the baby, a few days later, but I have to respect their privacy and their wishes as well. So it's just you just really have to separate yourself. So I don't think it's for everybody. And it's probably very hard if.
I would say, Angie, like you really used your body, and we're big on women empowerment here, but you really used your body, which just shows how fucking powerful we are as women, and we do create
Yeah,
humans and what we
it's
offer and how
crazy.
we do. But like your body worked to do a job in this, like it works as a job to provide, and that's kind of remarkable to just look at. Separate motherhood,
Hmm.
separate being a mom. Your body was doing the job of creation.
It's actually really crazy when you really get to thinking about all the things that go into it. It's very scientific. It's kind of weird, actually. It kind of freaks me out a little bit. But you do, yeah. Like men could never ever
No.
Never.
do
Never.
something like that.
There would be holidays.
Yeah, they're celebrating them.
Yeah, there would not. Yes, absolutely.
No, if they have a sniffle, they're like dying, you
Yeah.
know? It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. I do have a question, and it might, you don't have to answer this, but I'm curious simply because, there could be someone listening who is interested in possibly doing this because they might find themselves in the same situation. Do you think that you could give us like a ballpark figure of like low end to high end what surrogacy could pay somebody?
Um, yeah, like roughly you're definitely getting more than $40,000.
That's a
That's
good.
Now, there's also other things like, there's like in little incentives. There's when you sign your contract, there's a little bonus. There's little graduating points, like when you
Hmm.
pass your medical screening. There's a little. Those are separate. And now I don't know about all agencies. I went through an agency, not like a private person.
Hmm.
I think they're all a little different, but
Interesting.
I would say it's probably no matter where you would go, over 40,000. To the higher ends of like 100,000.
Right. This is like pretty
Hmm.
this could be life
life-changing.
changing for
It
someone.
can be, yeah. And then
Yeah.
I was in an accident in July,
Oh my God.
and
with the baby in you, right?
correct, and I had a very bad abdominal injury. If I had been like, the doctor told me if I had been like 20 weeks along or more, I probably would have lost the baby.
Oh my God.
My stomach was injured by the seatbelt. Um, and I had a brand new car because 6 months prior to that accident, I was in my first car accident and was totaled. So this was a brand new car. Um, Thankfully, I had this increments of money coming in because when I got in this car accident, my insurance only covered what the cost of the car was that I owed, like my balance. And if I didn't have this money, I wouldn't have been able to buy a new car. Like it all worked out in like some weird mysterious
Mhm.
way that I had this, and then thankfully nothing happened to the baby. You know, it all worked out. But if I hadn't been doing this particular thing, I wouldn't have. So it's definitely helped out tremendously over the last year.
This would bring me into the next question because as these kind of things are happening through the process, which are not planned, not on track to what you're supposed to be doing, how were you able to work through these negative experiences and the negative self-talk of what it's like going through this? How were you able to keep going and like, make this change?
I don't know because I'm crazy and I've had things happen my whole life. So you don't have no choice. You just have to, what else would I do?
I will say your F it moment, unlike most, in a way, because we're dealing with like a life, once you said fuck it and you put a baby in you and you were pregnant, I mean, you really are on the ride. You
Yeah.
can't get off. You
No,
can't,
yeah. Like
Yeah.
what,
you
You
what
can't
can't get
get
really would
off.
I
off.
have done?
Yeah. That's
But
a
what's
yes.
crazy is that I'm considering doing this again, you know?
I mean,
But
like
I only have one more opportunity to do it because of my age.
right.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
she's also almost 40.
yeah, you're almost 40. The
Yeah,
financial
38.
part is definitely like hearing you say, not that I would do it, but I'm like, it's just not for me. I know I wouldn't be able to do it, but like,
So I had a really easy pregnancy,
mm,
and my deliveries, I checked into the hospital at 6 a.m. He was born at 7:40 a.m.
oh
They're
my
very
gosh.
quick.
Wow.
However,
Wow.
this one I almost had him in the elevator. Like it was too fast.
Did you do C-section?
No, vaginal. Yeah, I pushed once.
Wow.
You went through vaginal birth for a child that you weren't even going to have to like connect. I mean, that's
I didn't want to. I've never had a
yeah.
C-section,
Yeah, that's
so it
unbelievable.
kind of freaked me out.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
would if in the contract you sign that you have to if it's like an emergency situation, but that wasn't my preference. No,
Yeah. Well,
I
I'm
know.
curious. I'm curious now especially that you're in this postpartum without a child.
Hmm.
Like,
It's
how would
weird.
you describe yourself now versus the person that you were before you decided to make this decision? Like, what have you learned through this?
That I can do pretty much anything now at this point.
Yes. I was like, yes.
I mean, I think I already knew that.
But it's like a solidification,
You know,
validation.
there's no book on life. There's no book on how to be a mom. Sometimes I feel like I don't know what I'm doing with any of these people that live here, but I do it, and we get through it, and they're not they seem like they're all right kids, they're not terrible. They could be worse. But you just have to do it, and I mean, I don't know. What can I do? I can't just run away.
We'll say on here, we none of us know what we're doing. There's no rule book.
No.
Everyone's got to figure this out. And I think that there needs to be, so we talk about, less judgment. If you're a mom in a financial situation, which trust me, it's the money's appealing to me as well. Like,
Yeah.
there are so many other options out there to make money, and you're sharing that. And so many moms that might be listening that are like, healthy and able to do it, or able to disassociate the way that
Hmm.
you have to give a family a child who needs one. There's so many families that do make money for your own family,
Hmm.
and that's to be respected.
Yeah.
You made a
It it
you know,
it it started off, obviously, oh, okay, that's a lot of money, that can help. But then once I met the family, and once I started having conversations with these people, and then the biggest moment was probably watching how happy he was in the delivery room.
Yeah, that's
This man, he cried, and then I obviously teared up. Well, I was high as a kite too, but
right.
um so it is very emotional, like, in that way. You are not, again, not that I wanted it for myself, but like watching the joy it brought to them.
You did such a significant you gave that man a miracle. Like, you
Yeah.
literally have changed that man's life, and that is
Yeah.
absolutely incredible. And the fact that you did that, like, it is absolutely amazing.
It makes it a lot more than money at that point.
I share that because there's so many, like, same-sex couples that
Yeah,
want to start their family, and the only way
absolutely.
they can sometimes is in situations like this, or adoption, or
Yeah, and I know adoption is a huge thing as well. Um, but it turned it into so much more
Mhm.
once you get, and a lot of times, you don't even get the pleasure of being around the families, because a lot of these people are not even from the country.
Mhm.
He happened to live locally in San Diego, where I live, so we were able to, like, attend appointments together, and he was in the room, and that doesn't always happen.
But that must have also been such an interesting experience to be sharing that which you'd normally share with a partner or just on your own, to share it with someone you have no connection to.
Yeah, I called him my baby daddy.
Yeah, yeah, that's gotta be
Like, when I'm just talking, like, with people
yeah,
at work,
yeah,
or
it's your baby
like, oh
daddy.
yeah, my baby daddy will be there. Yeah.
That's gotta be
He
interesting.
brought me flowers on Valentine's Day. Those were my flowers I got. I'm like, my baby
I
daddy.
I have one question for you. What does it look like in terms of if you ever wanted to see this child, or this child wanted to see you?
I don't, so we've never discussed that. Again, in the very beginning, when you're first selected as a person to do this, they do go over some, like, major, like, not, I don't want to call them rules, but like things, like a rule kind of policy. We're not supposed to ask those things. If the family addresses them with us directly, then it's their choice. And
Mhm.
and he's never, I don't believe he's that type of person who wants me to have a relationship,
Mhm.
um, which is fine, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I have no choice, again, not
Yeah.
not to just accept that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there are some, like my friend who is the one who recommended me and referred me. She sees the baby. The first baby is 2 now, and she gets to see the baby. But everybody's different.
This baby is not any your blood or anything, right? This
No,
is
no.
yeah. Yeah, which I'm sure does help make that easier like you said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a journey. It's a learning experience. There was emotions involved from beginning to end, but I will say that I think the postpartum with no baby is the strangest thing I've ever like dealt with.
Oh, I could only imagine because yeah, like you normally have a child to be able to
Mhm.
like
Yeah. Like last week I think I cried every day. This week I'm fine. We'll see.
yeah. I'm like, thank you so much.
Yeah.
We have one more question, but thank you so much for sharing the story because we haven't had this on our podcast at all.
Yeah, I never even heard of anything like I don't know. Like I'm sure it's been around forever, but I've
Yeah,
never.
I'm sure there's a mom that will
Mhm.
come across this
Mhm.
that maybe is like in a jam or
Yeah.
is like, oh my gosh, this is an opportunity. And there's also women that love being pregnant.
Yeah.
They like love
Yeah,
being pregnant.
there
And
Yeah.
so
are.
maybe this is an opportunity for them to be able to provide that life.
Well, I have, yeah, my little niece she was like, I want to do it. But the one thing is, you do have to have had one successful pregnancy yourself.
Oh,
That's good to
interesting.
know.
That's
That's
good
good
to
to
know
know.
too.
So my niece is 21 and doesn't want any, well, she says she doesn't want any children of her own, but she's like, I'm interested. But she doesn't have any children.
That's interesting too, because like I guess younger girls who use it as a way to maybe go to college or like start their
Hmm.
careers. I mean, times are hard right now. It is
Oh,
expensive
absolutely.
for any of us to like do the things we want to do. And yet everyone's, up in a freaking thing about our bodies and our babies and our this and what we can
It's,
do
yeah,
because we're powerhouse women that like create like life. But like, hey, you want to go to college? There are opportunities and you can help a family in doing it.
yeah. I guess that's like a little downside is you do have to have had one yourself.
Right, right.
Buy a home for your family,
Yeah.
start a
Hmm.
business.
That was my original goal, was thinking that, and I mean, it didn't turn out that way. Other
Yeah.
things came up,
Yeah.
but if I do choose to do it a second time, that's the main goal.
Right, right.
Until life happens again, and maybe there's like another accident. Who knows?
Mhm. Well, I'm sure there have been plenty of like young moms that have had a child and,
Hmm.
maybe now are like in that jam or they're going back to college or whatever the case may be and this
Yeah,
could be a solution for them to get through all of the student
absolutely.
debt or whatever.
Divorced moms and
Yeah.
like starting on their own. I think it's just important to know there's these stories out there. We don't hear about them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We forget these. You said you learned a lot, and this is going to go into my last question, which is what is your message to empower your children that are listening to this and what you did? And you mentioned I learned a lot. What would be the biggest lesson you learned out of this that you would pass down to your children and to other people? Yeah.
Just how selfless it is, and how being selfless is probably very important in your life.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to be selfish sometimes
Mm-hmm.
too,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
absolutely. But you, there are things you can do for people that would make a huge difference. And sometimes they're little minor things. This I don't think was minor, you
No,
know,
no, no.
putting, it's a huge sacrifice, but you can do things for other people that are like huge
Mm-hmm.
and make such an impact. And you, for women, especially like my daughter, like you can really do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I just think that's a good message for her to have experienced with me.
Do you feel really empowered, like you were saying? Did you leave this feeling pretty empowered?
I do. Yeah. Yeah, I do. I mean, I think I already like did, I do a lot of stuff for people.
Probably more so than before because it's like
Yeah.
you're not
I think it's because this was like a stranger.
right. Yeah.
Like before I was doing things because they're my family, and I just,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
the boy, nobody else is taking my family members and
Yeah.
these kids, and I'll do everything. I'll take care of everybody. But
Mm-hmm.
this was something for somebody that I was a stranger,
Yeah.
so it makes it a little different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
hardcore.
It's pretty crazy.
Is there anywhere you can share for people to go online if they are interested in this? Is there like a site or anything? Or how could somebody look this up?
It's very easy. You would just search surrogacy companies like in your area, and there's a ton. And then once you do that, Instagram will lead you the way. They'll pop up.
Oh, wow. That's
Yeah.
funny. Man. Okay.
Wow. Angie, thank you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me. And hopefully that, kind of inspires somebody. And I'll probably be doing it again, as crazy as it is. You guys should do it.
We would love to have you back on your second one too and see how that
Oh,
journey
okay.
goes. If you
Yeah.
decide to say F it and do this again, because that's pretty.
I think I have 6 months to decide.
Wow. Ooh.
Yeah.
Girl.
Oh my gosh.
She just had a baby. She's 6
Yeah.
months. You start again.
But isn't that better? Like knock them out,
Whew.
I don't know.
We had one and we're just like,
Oh my goodness.
Well, that's how I felt with my daughter. I told them to tie my tubes, and the doctor told me I was too young at that time.
That's wild because look at you now.
But here I am 13 years later.
Wow. See, you can
I
never
know.
say never.
Never.
Yeah.
I know.
Although you don't have the kids to take care of, but still, in regards to your
I can't
body.
take care of any more kids.
Yeah.
No, I can't.
Well, this is where we say just F it. Oh, yeah, Angie, you say it first, and then I'll say it, then Carla will say it.
Okay, just F it.
Just F it.
Just F it.